Alright, the Smack Pack. Welcome back to Ring of the Hawk Season 6. The old Hawk has been slacking on the Patreon request, so I need a good smacking. I spoke recently about wanting some more recent runs on this show, and we've done that with Aaliyah and Vanessa Boring. And today it's going to be another woman, one that's actually done far better than the two previously mentioned names. It's easy to forget nowadays, but she was in the WWE first before making it to AEW, where she is one of their main female talents today. I am flooded with requests all the time for this one. I'm of course talking about Toni Storm. Whilst the Hawk does not watch AEW, and I may well soon be, but I have seen clips and I've been extremely impressed with Toni Storm. She seems to be exactly what I want in a wrestler. She's very entertaining, she's actually playing a character, and it's making for great TV. She's actually one of the main reasons I'm thinking of giving AEW a go. But today it's just going to be the main roster run in the WWE that we'll be looking at. In fact, today's video was a Patreon request by Lord Chris Santo. If you want to make the Hawk talk, sign up today. I also think somebody else requested this one, but sorry about that, I've lost your name. And if you want to see our NXT run or something else, let me know in the comments section, Jack. Off to 2021 we go. Alright, it's Toni Storm. Did she make the boys gorm? So Toni's been doing NXT, NXT UK, all that fun stuff leading up to this. She's also made 2 Royal Rumble appearances. Match 1, SmackDown. Out walks Toni Storm, who's immediately described as a woman who's stuck in the 80s, but she's been tearing it up in NXT. Storm will go one-on-one with Zelina Vega. Interesting to see that Storm has always been a fan of character work and gimmicks. Zelina blocks her first kick, but is unable to stop the next one. Storm slops on top of her as Vega slides out of the ring. She quickly throws Storm into a desk. Back in the ring, and Vega hits a big-time knee to the noggin for a 2. Storm is really struggling here, so she goes to the last resort and headbutts Vega. She hits an ass to the face in the corner and a bridging German suplex for a 2 count. Vega responds with her version of a code red, and it doesn't look great. Now there's a bunch of standing switches. Storm takes her belt off and she looks really confused. Storm sort of pulls her into a cutter, and that's the 3. She looked like the most bland cookie-cutter babyface I've ever seen, yet she was somehow playing a character. This match didn't really establish much, it was just 2 minutes and Vega controlled most of it. It's a D.
I'm the illustrious Toni Storm,
Match 2, tag match. Zelina Vega and Carmella versus Toni Storm, who doesn't get an entrance, and Liv Morgan, who doesn't either. Toni and Liv must be teammates because they both like putting crap on their faces. Just like the last match, Vega blocks her first kick but can't stop the next one. Carmella causes a distraction so Zelina can hit another kick and connect with a running knee for the 2. Zelina's submission is reversed and tags are made. Liv kicks Carmella in the corner and she starts screaming and crying. She thinks her nose is broken. They get counted out. Wow. Well, this is a horrible run so far, not the kind of thing that you'd ever want to see again.
Fuck it.
Liv Morgan cuts a post-match promo, but Toni doesn't talk, she just stands there gorming out. It's an S. Match 3, Queen's Crown Tournament first round. Zelina Vega versus 80s Toni Storm. See, she's narrowed it down to a specific time period, she isn't timeless. Toni snapmares her and hits her in the face with a butt. That causes Vega to scream, "I'll kill you," and she charges with the Thez press. There isn't really much to say, it's all Zelina Vega. Toni Storm and her huge height advantage desperately fight back. The ass to the corner special connects. She tries to fist pump at the crowd, who barely make a sound. Her attempted dive is stopped with Zelina's kick and thrown to the mat. Toni can't do anything to stop the code red, and it's over. She's been eliminated. Wow, this is so bad, it's an S.
Why would you say that?
Match 4, Survivor Series 2021, Women's 5-on-5 Elimination Match. Bianca Belair, Carmella, Zelina Vega, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley versus Natalya, Shayna Baszler, Toni Storm, Shotzi and Sasha Banks. Toni actually starts with Carmella. She floors her within seconds and then she tags out. Oh god, it's Zelina Vega again. Zelina hits some slow motion kicks in the corner. She also hits a knee. Carmella is being wacky and wants to put a mask on to protect her face. She's distracted and Toni Storm rolls her up for the 3. Now that's a surprise, she actually did something positive. She jumps around with happiness and tags Sasha. The match eventually breaks down with everybody hitting big moves. She drop kicks Zelina out of the ring, but straight away is kicked out of the ring by Ripley. Based on what we've seen so far, Storm stays in this match for a very long time, doing nothing. She gets the tag from Sasha just as she hits a backstabber. Storm sends her straight into a cutter, and Toni Storm eliminates another person. Liv Morgan enters the ring and almost rolls her up, but Storm kicks her away. Storm tries another kick with Liv matrixing out of it, and Morgan tries another roll-up but struggles to handle all the cake. The bakery is closed down, and Liv gives her a jawbreaker and a flatliner, and Toni is done. A surprisingly good performance in this match. Out of nowhere, they've decided to give her a bit of a push. Nothing remarkable, but 2 eliminations. It's a C.
Out and watch
Match
for
5, title contenders match. Charlotte Flair versus Toni Storm. These two are fighting over a pie to the face. Truly timeless storytelling. Flair clotheslines her down straight away. Nice change of direction from Toni into a kick to the face. She also hits a crossbody. For the first time in this run, the crowd are actually cheering for Toni, but her momentum is ended by a boot to the head. Charlotte can't hit her moonsault, and her follow-up standing moonsault doesn't actually hit, but it still somehow gets a 2. Charlotte attempts the figure 4, and she almost pays for that, just a 2 for Toni. A German suplex gets Storm another 2. Charlotte starts cheating to get the advantage back. She has lost the plot and keeps battering her head against the ring post. Apparently, Toni Storm has won. It sure doesn't feel like she's a winner. So she is somehow the #1 contender now, from getting her head smashed in. Kind of a weak way to gain a title shot. I don't know, the match was okay and the crowd cheered for her, so it's a C.
Slap their
Match
tits
6,
off.
tag match. Sasha Banks and Toni Storm take on Shotzi and Charlotte Flair. Storm and Shotzi to start. Their lockup goes round and round like a merry-go-round. Eventually, Toni takes her down with a headlock takeover. Shotzi starts utilising her head scissors. I guess they can't be bothered to do the bridge though. Storm kicks her in the gut and tags out. She rejoins the match with Charlotte. Charlotte crushes her throat and kicks Banks off the apron. Storm randomly hits her finisher, which looks terrible, and nobody even acknowledges it. Shotzi breaks up the pin. Toni and Banks are best of friends, and they are the tag team partners who do get on. Toni Storm hits some atomic drops and a really bad looking spinning punch. Charlotte gets annoyed at all this clunky action and actually tags in and hits a big throw on Storm. This match really just feels like Charlotte versus Sasha. After a very long time, Toni makes a blind tag and hits a diving crossbody for a 2 count. The audience thought it was over there. Charlotte closes her down, slamming her head into the corner. Toni dodges a moonsault and follows up using her knees. A bridging pin puts Charlotte Flair away. This is called a huge upset and is treated like one. It was a long match, but Storm honestly didn't do that much. It's a C.
Very, very rude.
Match 7, final match? What? Women's title match. Well, it's a good way to go out at least. Charlotte Flair, the champion, versus Toni Storm. Quite a slow start. Storm manages the first takedown off a crossbody. Also, a nice arm drag into a dropkick. I like how she keeps hold of her arm during the setup. It's the small things, you know. Charlotte dumps in her thong with fear and hides on the outside. When she returns, she starts dominating and hits the Madison Rain facebuster into her head and neck scissors. She then uses her leg strength to roll Storm across the ring. Impressive. Charlotte is dominating this match, but she's getting too cocky. She keeps shoving Toni in the face, which causes her to pull one of the most repulsive faces of all time. You would never take that home to see your mother, let's be honest. Toni reverses a suplex into one of her own. She hits the big booty bounce in the corner and a German suplex for a 2. Flair turns it around in the corner for backbreaker into the turnbuckles. Charlotte then spends way too long on the moonsault, which doesn't connect, but again, the follow-up sort of connects. It doesn't look great again. Charlotte now looks for her finisher, which is a nice transition into another German. Storm's finisher is reversed into a pin. Charlotte then changes her mind and locks on the figure 4. She has it on for a bit while slapping Toni in the face. She's probably just jealous that Toni's face doesn't look like a melted candle. When she gets up, she gets a big boot to the face and another to the back of the head, which takes her out of the ring. On the outside, Storm sends her into the post again, and in the ring, Charlotte does a pin whilst holding the ropes. The ref sees that though and stops it. Both girls exchange pins for a minute, with Charlotte eventually getting the win. Game over. Toni Storm pulls an ugly crying face, and it's exactly how I felt watching this. It's tough, isn't it? She really didn't do much of anything. It was 90% Charlotte. What she did do was well executed though, so I'll give her a C. Now this might have been a short run, but at least we ended up on a Christmas match. There, this video is now officially relevant. Don't scratch your ass, this video would have been relevant. It was supposed to come out 6 months ago. This run wasn't actually meant to end here though, but it did. The night of the Charlotte Flair match, Toni was at the dentist getting some teeth pulled out when the WWE called her and asked her to go straight on a plane to wrestle with only 2 hours notice. While she did what they asked, she was obviously unhappy about that. After the match, she resigned from the company, citing the work schedule and a feeling of being underappreciated. She debuted for AEW a few months later, where she remains today, proving everybody wrong, and is the women's champion on her 4th reign. Based on what we've seen, it's hard to know what she deserves. It was a very short run where they didn't give her much to work with. She was a bit bland, but had obvious talent. It wasn't the character-heavy run I was hoping for. That being said, there was nothing bad here, but there was nothing to get you off your seat. Her time on the main roster is a D, but if you think this run was truly timeless, I'll break your back and leave you spineless.